10th. Let me go ahead and start with the risk disclaimer. We know there's risk in trading. Please don't always use trade capital only. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose, whether you're trading stocks, options, futures, forex, cryptos. You know the deal. Follow me on social media. This is the best place to find me. YouTube.com/Chris Pulver. Mondays and Fridays for the live sessions. We also sprinkle in some bonus sessions for FOMC, and check out the playlist. I've got Trading 101. Keep it seriously simple. Lots of lessons there to take a look at. Leave me some comments and questions, and I'll create more content based on what you'd like to see. All right, let's jump into the charts. Just have some notes up for some trading this week. We had a pretty wild close on Friday. Let's look at the daily time frame here. Just going to take a look at the SPY, the Qs, dollar, gold, silver, oil, Bitcoin, some currencies. So look at the daily candle on Friday. Pretty wild day. So we gapped lower, spent all day filling the gap, and then faded all the way back down towards the end of the day. So pretty wild stuff. But it was great trading, to be honest. So gap got filled, and I could see this week if we're holding this area, then I could see a lot of inside trading this week. This is our first uninterrupted week for July, so it could be a low volume month. I talked about this in the trading rooms. Watching this low, watching this high, price probably stays pretty range bound in between there. So that's what I'll be watching for. We got a weekly and daily pivot sitting around 439. I'll keep an eye on the smaller time frames on these daily trading ranges, what the averages are. I can see that in here. So for the daily, I'm looking at about $4 on the SPY per day. Average on the Qs about $4.85. So that's how I kind of map out some of my short-term trades in the morning. And I'll look to dive in and see if I can get something good. All right, so I think it's going to be pretty quiet. Well, I mean, I say that because the calendar's pretty light, but let's have a look. So low impact today. Employment news tomorrow. That's unemployment news for the Great British Pound. We have a cash rate decision for the RBNZ. They're expected to pause. That's 10 p.m. tomorrow. Wednesday, CPI for the U.S. That'll be a bit of a mover. You can see the forecast there, 3.1. Again, another big chunk to the downside for the U.S. Does that continue to keep this fueled tech rally, or has it already been priced in? And I mean, it's very possible, right? We'll find out. Okay, so let me have a look here. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so CPI data comes out on Wednesday for the U.S. We have a Bank of Canada rate decision, which looks like they're looking to raise rates another 25 basis points and tighten again. Oil inventories as well. Press conference for the BOC. There's usually a pretty big volatility window between 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Thursday, core PPI again, more inflation data for the U.S. This is the producer price index. So it's good data for the U.S. this week. We'll see if that generates some movements. I'm just going back to where I think things are going. I think that after yesterday's aggressive sell-off towards the end of the day, we're certainly vulnerable to the downside. If the SPY breaks below this level, there's room to come back and retest these June lows, right? But if we hold where we get a little lift off here, a little reprieve, come back up and find some pivots and sit in the middle, then the high is probably going to get tested, or the low gets tested, and we trade, like I said, a lot of inside chop. So looking to kind of survive in there for the week. The Qs, very similar. We got a lot of kind of intraday lines and intermediate support and resistance levels. So, is it vulnerable to the downside? Yes, we'd have to take out, this would have been Thursday. If we take out Thursday's low, that opens us up to the lows in June. If we kind of stabilize in here, I see some inside trading. The high is probably testable, but not necessarily break. We're not going to break the high, I don't think. And then low, same thing. If we break here, there's room. Otherwise, lots of inside trading. So that's the plan. Could be a nothing week. It's a good week to maybe throw in some covered calls. If we're not really going to have a lot of movement, get some, I would say, slightly out of the money covered calls. So we're not getting stocks called away necessarily. I want to get stocks called away when things are really moving and the premiums are high. All right, let me get logged into YouTube. Say hi to everybody. Log in. All right. Chris, good morning. David, good morning. Gary, good morning. And good morning. Perry, good morning. Chris, good morning. Ranjit, good morning. Nice to see everybody. Happy Monday. Let's type this in. Okay. So that's the SPY in the queue. Let's go dollar index. Dollar had a really aggressive, this is, again, kind of a wild correlation where we had a big end of day sell off in the stock market and a big drop in the dollar. If we go to currency strength and look at Friday, Japanese yen got really strong, dollar got really weak, and was Friday a non-farm payroll day? I think it was. So that goes back to last week. Let's go last week, Friday. Friday non-farm. So we had a slight miss in jobs, higher average hourly earnings. The unemployment rate stayed the same or as expected at 3.6 forecast. But dollar weak, JPY strong going into today. Currency strength, dollar and yen on top. But again, yen's making a move, and dollar is dropping a little bit from the highs around 8.55. So Aussie's still soft. I think, anything with Aussie right now, anything with New Zealand right now is kind of commodity led. The slower growth in China is probably lagging and leading to, well, I don't want to say lagging and leading in the same sentence, but it's the slower growth in China is having a pull on commodity prices. So there's an interesting correlation with energy. Okay, if you look at energy, so you can look at XLE and then compare that to technology, which is XLK. Those are the sectors you can follow. There's a complete disconnect right now between what is performing better and which is not. If you go to a sector tracker and you look at year to date, okay, go year to date and look at the difference between energy, negative 0.64, and technology, 37.58. That's a massive difference, right? You go to, if I could segment this, I'd go into 2022 where, technology got hit big time, where tech was down really hard and energy was up. Essentially the first half of the year last year, we had such a huge Q1 in energy. We had a boost in energy and commodity prices through June, and then we peaked. Okay. So anyway, it's just interesting how this goes kind of hand in hand. If technology is doing really well, there's a lot of deflationary pressures that brings down energy prices. OPEC has been very vocal. Saudi Arabia has been vocal. Take a look at oil. We're up at 73 and change. I think this is a lot of supply and demand. I mean, if you're basically just willing to buy $66, $65, looking to take bid, I mean, $70. I don't see oil going necessarily higher than $100, but I do see that we could have supply chain issues and whatnot going into the later half of the year. If that's the case, then there could be some higher prices. But I also wonder if this is just going to be choppy for the next couple of months. A breakout in the second half of the year makes some sense. I still think that oil is pretty well supported here around $60 for right now. So I don't know. There's probably a lot of trades in there that if you're active and aggressive, we're pretty safe. Staying above 65. I think there's intermediate resistance around 75, but a break above this 200 EMA. We make a break from 80 to 90 comes really quickly. 80 to 95 comes potentially really quickly. So we can keep an eye on that one. Okay, gold and silver. Gold is still holding off the 200 EMA. I think it's vulnerable below that. I think this level is 1895. We break below 1895, vulnerable to the downside. If we break, I mean, there's a lot of indecision candles here, but if we break above here, gold has room to get back to this monthly pivot. I don't think gold's necessarily running all the way back up to 2075. I think the dollar still maintains its bid. The Fed's going to raise rates most likely July 26th, so that's going to put pressure on gold to the downside. If the dollar goes up, I do expect gold to drop 1830. Big area that I'd be interested in buying, 1700 or 1650, very interested in buying. But just being pretty patient on gold. I think silver technically has a better setup. I've talked about this a lot in the trading rooms. We're going to see if this area holds and we have a channel support around 22. If it drops lower, 1950. Look left on the higher time frames and all the way down to like 13, 14 bucks. Very interested in still just owning more silver. But if we have a channel like I have drawn here, support, support right around this $21.50 to $22 zone. I'm looking for, silver to stay bid, come up to $27.50, come up to $29, and then see. I'd like to see this symmetry hit. That's $35. I'm positioned here for a break even around $17. So $17 to $35, I'd certainly be happy with. I'd even be happy with $29 to $30 as well. Bitcoin, we still hanging on to 30K. We are. So not a lot of traction or follow through on Bitcoin at this time. But, you can see here that 30K is holding. To the downside, if we break below 29.3, look to come back and find some efficiencies. A 29.3 break maybe comes all the way back down to 25. Okay, we had a nice test right in there. This could be our range, right? If we come back and fill, this big demand zone. I mean, we have a bull flag that fails, comes all the way back down to finding more efficiencies, and then we have a range. We could have a range right there. If it comes all the way back down, I'm buying more at 20. Otherwise, this is still a valid bull flag. A break above, hopefully it's not a fake out. A break above 32, 31 and change, but certainly a break and close on a daily or weekly candle above 32, I think opens up a lot of potential momentum to the upside. But chart alarm is set, and right now it's pretty quiet. But staring at Bitcoin at 30,000 is a lot more exciting than staring at it at 17 or 20. Wondering like, is Bitcoin dead? I don't think it is. So a bull flag potential, but we could have a range from 25 to 30 for a while. We could still have a range from 20 to 30 for a while. But more and more is happening. I mean, BlackRock certainly moved the needle on this when they decided they want to do a spot ETF. That's still pending with the SEC. Okay. So that's a little Bitcoin action. Currency wise, again, take a look here. Yen crosses. Let's look at yen crosses. So the yen is finally showing its teeth. I mean, all year I've been telling traders, follow your alignments, stick to your short-term alignments. And, Friday was a nice sell-off. We're getting some follow-through on it today. All the yen crosses had pretty good bar counts. They had monthly pivots to go back to. They had some nice high breakouts. I mean, CAD yen, this trade's pretty clean. This level, nice clean breakout from last week Thursday, and probably 200 pips or so. So if anybody is, trading the yen, like CAD yen short, that's a pretty good position right now. Still, the BOJ hasn't changed their message. I just think that you've got short-term alignments, go with it. Get your stop loss to break even or better. Let it trail. We might be surprised with how big this move can become. Swiss yen is starting to make a move a little bit. Same type of thing. This one has room to get down to the monthly pivot. There's a big pocket back here at 155. I mean, all these pretty good levels on Swiss yen could get filled. Euro yen, same thing. This yellow box at 152, I wouldn't be surprised if we tap, today or tomorrow, this monthly pivot, which is another, 60 to 70 pips lower. Big pockets and inefficiencies around 152 to 153. So I could see a little bit of sustained JPY strength this week. Pound, same thing. Finally started to turn over. Overbought conditions on the daily, selling off lots of pockets, lots of demand here at 170. I mean, I'd be happy getting this trade down to 178 to 176. All right. So keep an eye on these yen crosses. If you're trading them, great. Like I said, if you have a decent entry and you're up 50 to 100 pips, move a stop loss to plus 10. And see if you can get a surprise move and let it fill some of these pockets. And all of a sudden you're looking at 300, 400, 500 pips of movement. All you're doing is trailing with a stop loss. Traders have been very patient to wait for some of this confirmation, and it's kind of nice to officially see it. New Zealand yen. We looked at a rising wedge starting to head back down. Big resistance levels here that broke out, kind of a false break. Monthly pivot and potential. I mean, again, if it picks up momentum to the downside, this has room all the way back to 82. What I am going to look for is, just having one leg of a sell-off isn't necessarily a sell signal as far as like longer-term selling. But if we have, price has been up, and we have this big sell-off. Well, if it takes out all this structure, breaks these major trend lines, I could see any pullback being sold again. Right? So there is possibilities for follow through on just having a nice leg lower, breaking all this nice structure, and then we can look at a swing opportunity to focus on JPY strength. So there's going to be time to participate. And, if you're in short term now, that's great. If you're not, then there's still room. Okay. Same thing on dollar yen. We had this nice overbought fill. I mean, this technically was beautiful. Came right up and filled this pocket, 145 almost to the pip. And I mean, I draw the boxes there for a reason, right? I mean, I have it exactly where I want it, and it came up and tapped that thing right to the pip, and here we are dropping. So, I didn't say that I was calling the high or anything, but I'm just saying that level of resistance around that pocket getting closed made a lot of sense. So 145 down to 141, get some good traction to the downside, coming back into where this breakout happened around 140. Okay. Let me take a look at dollar sing. With the JPY getting stronger, the dollar sing's pulled back a little bit. I'm still long on this currency pair, and I'm still long against the Swiss on a lot of currency pairs as far as my forex positioning. The pound Swiss is hopefully one that's going to continue to push higher. We had highs recently around 15. Hopefully this is this type of trade. We have a nice little trend line break. A little consolidation would be fine, but I'd like to see this thing start making, higher highs and higher lows, start tracking a channel of some sort. And Bank of England is likely going to continue to raise rates. And to what extent, to how far? I mean, I've read 6% to 6.5%. Inflation in the UK, inflation in the Eurozone is still pretty sticky. And we're seeing that big drop in the US. I mean, we have CPI data this week, right? So this week's CPI data, I think it drops on Tuesday. Nope, drops Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. So, has a lot of this optimism been priced in on our inflation improvement? Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Previous was 4%, forecast at 3.1. The Fed continues to talk about 2%. And they're firm on that. So, are we going to raise rates in July? Possibly. Are we going to pause in July? I mean, the watch tool probably hasn't changed much. It's probably an 80 to 85% probability that they raise rates. Yep, 92% probability that they're raising rates. So 25 basis points is kind of baked in for right now. I don't, in this tool, I mean, this tool is subject to change, but for the last 14 years, this tool has been spot on. So the Fed has not surprised the market in over 14 years with policy. They pretty much say that this is what they're going to do, and they do it. Now, it could happen the week before, it could happen days before, but this tool tends to track pretty well. What's been frustrating is watching, 1 week it's way up here, and then the next week it's way down here, and it's two very different readings. But for the most part, it gets it right going into the FOMC. Okay. September, still looking to stay the same. November, still looking to stay the same. So it looks like the market is anticipating a rate hike for July and then a pause through the rest of the year. All pauses. I don't see any additional rate hikes priced in. I know, there's been some Fed speakers talking about maybe raising rates twice this year, but whatever. I don't know. I see that July is pretty much a high probability we're going to get it. Okay. Any charts, any questions you'd like to take a look at this morning? I'm just watching the SPY, watching the Qs. Actually, I'm going to take a quick peek here on my end. I got a couple of covered calls that expired today. The 369 and the Qs were trading at 365. So I could probably collect most of that profit this morning. I could probably just cover it again and see if I can get some premium for it. So I'd like to take a quick peek. I'll talk about this more with the trading session at 10 o'clock for equities on demand. But I'm going to go into trade here. Come on. Okay. So I want to take a look at the SPY. I just had in a 442 covered call. I could probably let that one expire for full profit today. And if I put in, let's see what I can get for, try to refresh this. I'm going to see if I can get like a 440 or 441 call for, so I could do a 439 that's at the money. If I did a 440, price has to go up 90 cents today. I could still get 45 cents for that. Let's see. I could go out to tomorrow. That's not too bad. 440 is doable. I think I want to do like a 441. Let me put in a 441 for tomorrow. I don't think we're getting a 442 today. And if we are, I'm going to roll it. But anyway, I'm looking at this. I'll probably do a 441 covered call and take that. And then on the Qs, I have a 369, and we're trading at 365. So I can probably do the same thing, like a 368, 369, get a few bucks out of that. So sell to open. 365. If I go up to like 368 or 369 today, go out to tomorrow. I mean, that's not bad. 369, keep the same strike, get 40 cents for it, and just throw another expiration on for tomorrow. Let the ones that I have today expire full profit. So a little bit of income would be nice. So anyway, I'll save that for the top of the hour. I have class at 10 o'clock for Equities on Demand. Any again requests? I've got a few more minutes. I'll start wrapping up here in about probably 5 to 7 minutes to get into class. This week's going to be a busy week. I've got a course coming back out. It's a Pockets Pattern Pro, one of my favorite full auto systems. That's how I like to trade, not just auto in the background, but also build positions. A lot of trading that I've had successfully the last 10 years. I didn't really identify them as pockets until probably 2015 is where I really started to learn about it and pay attention to it. And since then, it's been one of my cornerstones of trading. So especially in highly efficient markets like currencies, even cryptos, they tend to find these big pockets and inefficiencies. I mean, we saw it this week with some of these big gaps, right? I mean, we had gaps get filled, gaps get filled. Gaps in stocks are very similar to pockets and inefficiencies in currencies. So it's a good way to read price action. That's what I like about it. So I've got some webinars on that this week. The Qs are doing some good work. 365, good stuff there. Okay, so Qs are definitely dropping hard. Okay, keep an eye on that. SPY's pretty choppy this morning. Okay, so I'll look at some covered calls. That's pretty much my play. If I have some short-term options, I'll take a look at it. Continue to carve out some nice wins through the week. Last week I closed up about 40 cents net profit on short-term stuff, and then covered calls another, like 1.5% in covered calls last week. So good stuff, good stuff. All right, currencies, any requests? Speak now, forever hold a peace. I still like, directionally, still long Aussie CAD, still long Aussie Swiss. Yen crosses trade short term. Let me go to the daily. Okay, Aussie New Zealand, we're at 107. I hope the Aussie New Zealand wants to come back down to range lows. If we can hit this low or this low, that'd be great. I'm going to start looking to position myself. And ideally, this would be a great spot to find a pocket as well. If we have like a big drop in news, we do have the RBNZ coming out with a rate decision that's expected to be a positive. If we create a pocket this week, that would be pretty stellar to have, a 103 to 1.00 area to fill, and then take a big, big buy trade and position trade it. This is one of the reasons I'm long on the New Zealand CAD right now. There's still a really good pocket to trade back to. You can see it right here. So that pocket right there, I expect to get filled. So when we came down to create this low and we double tapped it, I bought right there. So I am looking for this to get back into that area and possibly continue to go higher. If we have more consolidation on New Zealand CAD, that's okay. This consolidation to me is still building a low, and then we have this move coming hopefully second half of the year. Pound New Zealand, sure, we'll take a look at that one. Pound New Zealand's. So Pound New Zealand, I do like short on this one. I like this rising wedge, and this is another kind of pocket trade right here. Right there. That's a big inefficiency on the Pound New Zealand. We did take a short in this one in the flex trading room. So we have high, low, lower, high. I'm looking for this to push back down, either retest this low, possibly get into the close of the pocket. So my goal is to get to 202 or lower. So I am short at 207.50. Anything 202 or below, I'm taking profit. But I do like Pound New Zealand short. So like I said, it was kind of a rising wedge look, high to low, lower high. I'm looking to see if it follows through there, and it comes back and finds this pocket, 202 to potentially 2.00. Okay, good stuff there. Euro dollar is pretty messy. I still see a lot of chop on the dollar index, and so euro dollar is kind of the same situation, something like that. So I don't really have a direction on euro dollar. Here's what I would look for. If the euro dollar is going to be choppy right now, I would stay out of it. If the euro dollar, makes a break, there's a short-term run to possibly retest these highs, possibly a peak around 1200. Dollar maintains bid. There's a move back down to the lows around 107. So I'd say right now this is probably a stay out zone on the euro dollar. I think if you're watching price, we got to get a break above 110 or a break below 109. 109 to 107 for the bears, 110 to 112 for the bulls. But we have to see a more convincing break above or below. That's my thought. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. Little hesitation on the SPY this morning. I'll just wait it out. See if I can find some flow. Are we good on those, Chris? Euro dollar, pound New Zealand? Yes. Someone last week was asking about pound Aussie. Pound Aussie, I'd like to sell it. Somebody was asking would I buy the breakout, and I said no. I don't see this as a breakout. I see this as a false top. So I see more of a broadening pattern. If we start to get a breakdown, I could see pound Aussie selling off. So I'm not buying these highs, especially if we start to see some divergence sprinkled in here on the higher time frames, which right now on the daily chart, I don't have it yet, right? But if we start fumbling around here at the highs and I start to see disagreement, then I think that's hidden bearish divergence, and I would look to sell that. So it's not ready yet, but I'm not a buyer on the pound Aussie. I'd wait for more confirmation to sell. Okay. All right. Well, it's 9:57. I got class at 10. Obviously, if anybody's coming in here that's not in my trading rooms, if you're interested, you can take a look at the description of all the live sessions that I do. There's links to the Flex trading room. There's links to equities on demand. I trade stocks and options with traders every single day. We trade Forex Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do these live sessions on YouTube. So hopefully it helps. I appreciate everyone tuning in, whether you're here live or checking out the video. Any thumbs up and liking the channel and stuff helps a lot. So I appreciate that. And let's have a good week. All right, so it's a nice full week of trading, so let's make it a good one. All right, traders, I'll see you in the trading rooms this week, and let's go. See you. Bye.